Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of Intuitive Angling, and really appreciate you guys swinging by the channel to spend some time with me. And guys, got a good video for y'all today. We're going to give y'all sort of a master's class in shakyhead fishing. I'm going to go over in today's video all the different baits I use, the heads I use, the type of knot I throw, the type of equipment I throw it on, talk a little bit about where to fish it at. Because shakyhead fishing, I put it in the top 3 categories in the first, second, or third in the most productive way to catch a bass. I'd say probably I did a video last week about it. If you gave me one way that I had to catch a fish, it's like, Randy, you have got to go catch a fish today. What bait do you want? It would be a shakyhead worm. So we're going to get into that in today's video. I think it's going to add up to some good fish for you guys. But also, guys, before we get started, a couple quick things. I'd just like to invite everybody, please swing by and check out my Fish the Moment lake map breakdowns. We got all of our fall maps getting ready to come up on the site right now. Well, actually, they're on the site, but we got them for all 4 seasons. But if you guys are interested in getting some good places or got some trips planned for this summer or fall coming up, really good resource to learn more about any lake you want to go to. Get you a good 40 good GPS waypoints you can go to, tips and advice on how to fish those places with some overview of the lake. So I'll put that link in the description of the video, as well as my Solar Bat sunglasses link, guys. We still have the independent sale going on, 30% off, and any purchase over $98, you get a free hard case from Solar Bat. So appreciate you guys listening to the plugs there. Excuse me. Okay, guys, shakyhead, man, it's you got to learn how to fish it. If you want to be a consistent bass angler and catch fish day in and day out, this is one area that you need to master. In my own personal experience, if somebody said, okay, Randy, you give me 3 techniques that I need to learn in bass fishing to do good in bass fishing, I would say shakyhead, I would say pitching and flipping, that technique, and some type of shallow cranking. Those are 3 solid techniques that produce everywhere. But in today's, I want to go over in detail about everything about shakyhead fishing, everything you need to know. So we're going to get into that in today's episode. Okay, first of all, let's talk about the worms a little bit, the shakyhead baits that you use, and we'll get into the heads. There's 3 primary plastics that I use on a shakyhead based upon different situations I want to talk about here. The first one is a 4-inch finesse worm. This is a Zoom finesse worm here, 4.5 inches long. This is probably where shakyhead fishing started. It's like when people first started fishing a shakyhead, they were using small worms like this. But the small worm is going to be really good for clear water situation if you have a very clear water lake, or if the lake you has a lot of spotted bass in it. A small worm like this is going to catch a lot of spotted bass, really good in clear water. This is probably the best thing that you can use for tough fishing conditions in clear water. Okay, the next one, which is probably my favorite, the one I use more than anything else, is a little bit larger model. This is the Zoom trick worm. And also, guys, I'll link all this stuff, the worms and the heads I'm talking about, in my Tackle Warehouse link in the description of this video. If you want to get set up for all your shakyhead needs, you can use that link there. But the one that I use a lot is a trick worm, guys. Zoom trick worm. It's about 7 inches long, close to 7 inches long. Here's the difference between the two. A little bit larger in diameter, a little bit larger in length there. But this is probably my favorite setup. This is my go-to day in and day out. It works in a diversity of different conditions. It'll work in clear water. It'll work in a little bit, in between water visibility, sort of that 2 to 3 foot zone. And even it'll work in a little bit dirtier water, like visibility of 1.5 foot or 2 foot, if you use a little bit darker color with it. So that Zoom trick worm, guys, is a deadly shakyhead bait. I can't even tell you how many thousands of bass I've caught on that trick worm with it. And finally, the last one I use is a soft plastic stick bait. This is a Zoom's Linky, or you can use a 5 or 6 inch Cinco, either one. I really like the larger diameter here. This is quite a bit larger diameter than the trick worm here. Now, there's 2 different scenarios where I fish the soft plastic stick bait. If I'm fishing deeper with the shakyhead, say for example, if I'm fishing out on points in 15 or 20 foot of water, I like the soft plastic stick bait. Or if I'm fishing during the pre-spawn period, it's like there's something about a soft plastic stick bait when that water temperature is like between 55 and 60, right when those fish are getting ready to spawn. A lot of times they prefer, a little bit larger bait there. So that's Those three right there are the ones I use 95% of the time. I mean, occasionally I'll use something else, some other, something looks good, but that's really all you need, those three right there. Okay, let's talk a little bit about rigging it and the heads. Now, one of the things I'm going to tell you guys about shaky head fishing is, I think one big mistake a lot of people make is they use too heavy a head on a shaky head. My advice with a shaky head is, if you can get by with it, use a 1/16 ounce size. And guys, this is the best shaky head you can buy right here. This is the Gamakatsu tricky head. It's got the O'Shaughnessy bend needle point hook on it. It's got a nice 10 keeper on it that keeps your bait up there. Inline hook tie right here. This is the best shaky head. And like I said, I'll link this in the Tackle Warehouse link description too. There's really only two sizes you need: the 16th ounce, which is this one, and an 8th ounce model. Those are the best two. Another thing I'll tell you about shaky head fishing, guys, is all the expert shaky head fishermen use this style of shaky head where you put the worm up on the shank. A lot of shaky heads, you got those, those little coils that they screw the worm on the coil. Get rid of those. Those are crap. You don't want those. It makes the worm does not look as natural with it. You don't have as good of hookups on it. This is what all the master shaky head fishermen uses. This is what Aaron Martin uses. Aaron Martin designed this thing. This is what you want here. But the two sizes there is for different depth and different wind situations. You are going to get a lot more bites on a shaky head on a slow fall. That's why I use a 1/16 of an ounce on all three of these baits that I just talked about, anytime I can get away with it. Even if I'm fishing deep. If I'm fishing 15 or 20, 25 foot deep with a shaky head and the wind's not blowing, I'm gonna be using that 16th ounce head, because the way the worm falls with it, the glide of the worm, and when you pull it up and the slow glide, you just get more bites on it. One of the biggest mistakes I see a lot of people make is they use like a 3/16 or a 1/4 ounce shaky head. I don't even own any. That'll tell you how much I don't like them. You don't need that. You just need something that'll get the bait to the bottom. And if you have a windy day and you're fishing deeper water, you can get by with an 1/8 ounce. An 1/8 ounce falls pretty quick, but it'll allow you to fish that deeper water if the wind's blowing. So that's really, if you order a couple packs of these guys, just get a couple packs of the 16th, a couple packs of the 1/8 ounce, and you'll be good to go on that. Okay, let's talk about, I'm gonna rig it up here, then I'm gonna show you the knot that I use with it, and we'll talk a little bit about the equipment and then the type of areas. Okay, this is how you wanna rig the shaky head. First of all, on most worms, like the zooms, guys, you got a flat side and you got a round side here. You wanna come in the top of it here, about probably 1/4 of an inch or so, not any more than 1/4 of an inch, and come out the flat side. And then when you put your hook up on the keeper, rotate it around to where the flat side of the worm is pointing down. It gives a lot more natural look. And also make sure that your worm is up on the keeper there. Make sure that keeper is secure on there, because that's what's gonna keep it locked in position. So the keeper's on there, and then bunch your worm up a little bit, come all the way through it, and set it up. See how the point is right there? Rig it like this, where the point is out of the worm like that. Now, unless you're fishing super snaggy cover, you're not gonna hardly ever get hung up like this. And the fact that worm, the point is out of the hook, you will land so many more fish. If you try to rig this worm, let's say for example, you just put it in the middle like that. See, I've just stuck it right in the middle. Guys, you're gonna lose so many fish, because you gotta penetrate so much of that plastic to get that hook point out. So always make sure that you run it all the way through, let it set flat. And if you're in a situation where it's super snaggy, all you have to do is just push it back a little bit and just bury the point of that just a little bit in the worm like that. You know, that little point is just buried there, and that'll keep it completely weedless. Another thing with the shaky head is, guys, you really want the bait to be straight. You don't want it to be bunched up or crooked, so spend a lot of time rigging this thing where the bait is straight there. Sometimes you gotta practice with it a little bit, but having a straight shaky head is super critical to get the most bites on it. Okay, let's talk about the knot here. Now, I use a Palomar knot for a lot of my fishing, but the times that I do not use a Palomar knot is if I'm fishing a slow bait where I'm actually setting the hook on. Because if you try to set the hook hard on a Palomar knot, a lot of times, even with light line, you'll break the line simply because of the way the line lays over the second piece of it. So the knot that I use is called the double uni knot. And guys, I know there's a bunch of knot snobs out there. Every time I say this is the double uni knot, somebody says, oh, that's not the double uni knot, you know what you're talking about? Well, Aaron Martin showed me how to tie this knot 20 years ago, and he calls it the double uni knot, so that's what I call it. So what you want to do here, I know it's hard to see, but I'll sort of run you through it, is just run your line through one time, and then you're going to come straight back through the opposite direction of it. And we'll see what it looks like. Then you're going to have, it's just going to slide back and forth like that on your line. Now, one of the things about tying a knot is knot tying is a lot of practice. And once you get good at it, you can do it in your sleep. But to tie knots properly, it's a combination of using your fingers and your mouth both. So the way that I've got the double uni is it's sliding back and forth, and see I've got my line pinched right there. I've got the end of the line there sticking out. And I'm going to take it and I'm going to put it in my hand like that. So I've got the end of the line there, I've got my loop here, and the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this loop part right here, you can see, right there, and I'm going to wrap it around this part 3 or 4 times, like 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now look at my finger there. Do you see that little bitty, that opening right there, that little loop below my finger? I'm going to take this part of it right here, this part of the loop, and I'm going to put it right through that hole there. And put it right through the hole like that. It's going to come out. Then I'm going to pull it. Just pull it tight. It's going to cinch just like that. And then what you're going to have is you're going to have there's actually going to be 3 pieces of line, actually 2 that you're going to cut there. I cut those 2. So there's my knot with it. This is the best knot to use with a shaky head, pitching and flipping or whatever. I've got other videos out there talking about this, so how to tie that knot if that wasn't real clear. Okay, now the next thing is my setup here. I've got my Mega Bass. This is my Mega Bass Whip Snake spinning rod, 6 foot 11 inches. You want some type of a medium action, maybe a medium fast tip just a little bit, but here's sort of like the parabolic bend that I have on it to sort of give you an idea. It sort of bends nice and easy like that. Yet you got a nice stiff butt on it. You need a combination of a stiff butt and a little bit of a soft tip in order to get the action and work the bait, but you need the stiffer tip, to get a good hook set on it. Softer tip will also help you fight the fish a little bit better. And then most of the time on the shaky head, I'm using anywhere between 6 to 10 pound test Seagar and VizX line. If I'm fishing real clear water with like the little 4-inch model, a lot of times I'll use 6 pound test. 8 pound test is my go-to day in and day out. Like if I'm fishing a trick worm like this, it's usually on the 8 pound test. And the 10 pound test is when I'm fishing like the soft plastic stick bait, a larger diameter, a little bit shallower water. So say I'm taking that little soft plastic stick bait on the shaky head and skipping it up underneath a dock, something where there's some cover around it. Sometimes I'll go to 10 pound test, but 8 pound test is what I use probably about, I'm gonna guess 75% of the time I'll use 8 pound test line. 75% of the time, 8 pound test, probably 15% of the time, 6 pound test, and then 10 pound test on the rest. Just depends on the situation that you're in there. Now, colors on shaky heads, most of the time you're gonna do better on the natural colors. I like, obviously green pumpkin or watermelon. I like watermelon candy is really good. I usually let the water visibility dictate the water clarity. If I'm fishing real clear water, like water visibility of over 4 or 5 foot, I like the watermelon color. If I'm fishing water visibility sort of in that 2.5 to 4 foot zone, I like a green pumpkin. And then if I'm fishing off-colored water, like water visibility of 1.5 foot or 2 foot, a lot of times I'll go to a black one. A black shaky head is a killer. I've caught a ton of fish on a black shaky head. And another thing with the shaky head is I do use dyes quite a bit. I'll dye the tails chartreuse and orange, just sort of mix it up like that. But that's pretty much the generality with it. If you don't want to spend a lot on it, the 3 colors, like I said, get a watermelon candy, get a green pumpkin, and get a watermelon. You'll be good to go with that. Okay, let's talk about the areas to fish a shakyhead. Guys, it's really anywhere. Anywhere there's a bass, they're going to bite a shakyhead. But some of my favorite areas that I fish a shakyhead is based upon the time of the year. I start fishing a shakyhead during the pre-spawn. It's like when that water temperature starts to get in the low to mid 50s, that's when I first start thinking about a shakyhead. And all of my areas in the pre-spawn, that time of year, I'm fishing that shakyhead around sort of those pre-spawn staging areas. So bluff banks, channel banks, rock transitions, any type of place that I think those bass are staging at to getting ready to spawn, really good places for a shakyhead. As it gets more into the spring where those fish are getting close to spawning and that water temperature's in the 60s to low 70s, I'm fishing the shakyhead in spawning coves, flatter coves, just going down the bank with it. It's really good places to fish it. And then after those fish get done spawning and they start to move, out of those areas, I move to secondary and main lake points, and I stay on secondary and main lake points all the way, through the summertime, up until about July or August. So from about early to mid-May up into the middle of the summer, it's just points for me. Then and how deep I fish them is dependent upon the water clarity. As it gets warmer, as you start to get like July, August, September, that type of time frame, that's when they slowly start getting away from those areas and they start to get more around some type of cover. And my favorite cover to fish a shakyhead in when it gets really hot and like in the early fall is around boat docks. A shakyhead is freaking deadly around boat docks, especially docks that you have pilings on them. Like all you guys that fish like Lake Norman in North Carolina, or all the TVA lakes, or just any place that has dock piling, type of things, like Gunnersville, Chickamauga, that type of deal. Shakyhead's deadly around that. And around floating docks too, especially around the walkways. Really, really good places to fish it. As you get into the fall time of the year, guys, the fall and winter are the 2 times a year I don't fish a shakyhead much in. It seems like to me, once you start getting into the fall, when that water temperature starts dropping, they like bigger reaction baits a little bit more. And as you get into the winter, stuff like your, little swim baits and jerk baits work better than the shakyhead. But for me, shakyhead is like when that water is like between 55 degrees in the spring and 70 degrees, say, in the end of September. So my shakyhead fishing for the most part is March through September is the prime season for it. But the main thing, guys, is you just throw the thing. I mean, there's not a lake in the country where they won't bite it. I mean, they won't. I mean, I have literally caught fish from coast to coast on a dang shakyhead. So anyway, I hope these tips help you guys out, and we'll check in later. See you.